Man, you know what is great about Grinder is unlike other dating apps where they give you a radius, Grinder gives you down to the meter how far away someone is. So you'll be like in your apartment and it'll be like 17 meters away. So it's like up or down, side to side. You don't know, but you just know 17 meters. None of this radius bullshit.
Oh.
Slava, are you selling weed on Grinder again?
No, that was a Vice thing. That was like to get by a Vice, I had to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
I remember.
No, we can't just pass over that. We can't.
No,
just,
I was kind of waiting for the follow up there.
yeah, like what?
What's the follow up?
You tell us, man. It's your
How do
story.
you go
Like,
about
what,
selling weed on Grinder? Like how? Like take me through the process, I guess.
Okay, well, I tried selling weed on Tinder, and then I got blocked from Tinder forever.
Wow.
So logically, you can't go to Bumble because it didn't exist at the time. So I went out for drinks with my gay friend, and he told me about Grindr, and I downloaded it. And the beautiful thing about it is that you don't have to like two-step verification anything, so you can never burn out your email address because you never have to verify an email address. So because it's all location based, you kind of just have a copy and pasted message that goes, "Hey, what's up? Just here to sell weed. Let me know if you need anything." And then you blast that out to like the first 10 torsos on your grid because it's like a grid based system. None of the swiping bullshit. Just like a grid of torsos with no face. And you hit them all up, and some of them block you. Some of them try to ignore what you said completely. And like maybe 5% actually take you up on the offer. Then it's on you as the supplier to provide excellent customer service to turn those into repeat customers.
So if you started selling weed to somebody on Grinder, would you continue to message with them on Grinder as like your Signal app or whatever?
No, because I would be banned off Grinder all the time, and I would have to make new accounts.
Okay.
So I would try to move the conversation to text as quickly as possible.
Right.
I do remember you getting caught for that, and my boss being like, I heard Slava did something bad. And I was like, what? Oh, do you mean the selling weed on Grinder thing? And he was like, wait, that was it? And then he just started laughing. So I think I think I may have inadvertently extended your employment at Vice by like a few weeks because of that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. Welcome to Noisy. Or
whoa.
Wow. Holy shit.
What the fuck?
not say that.
Yeah.
welcome to Nersey, the #1 podcast for getting advice about how to sell drugs on an app.
I'm
like
pretty
5
sure you
years
couldn't
ago.
say that either. But all right.
All right. Welcome to Nersey, the podcast that is about stuff.
The podcast that got DJ Drama back his chain.
What happened to DJ Drama's chain?
Don't ask me, man. I wasn't there.
All right. Well, okay. Some things you just don't need to know, I guess. Today we have on our second guest, and perhaps final, Alex Ross. Alex, do you want to say hi?
Hi. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Alex is a former colleague of ours at the media shop we used to all work at. Yeah, he's what have you been up to, Alex?
Since 2016.
Yeah.
Trying to think. There was a pandemic. We did that for a while, so we were inside for a while. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm in Canada. That's great place. A big fan of that. I got married, got a dog.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and I still work in the content mines. Is the one thing I haven't managed to change.
I'm sorry about that.
You know,
At least he's
How did?
working.
What'd you say, Trey?
At least he's working. Shit.
Yeah.
that point.
But how did you get to Canada?
My my then girlfriend was living is from here originally and was living here, and we were long distance while I was in New York for a while I was working for the Fader my first year there. And then the beginning of the pandemic, I came up here for what I thought would be 3 weeks while we like flattened the curve.
Oh, wow.
Now we're married and have a dog, so I haven't left. Which I probably in hindsight should have seen coming when I came up that first week of the pandemic, but yeah, we didn't flatten that curve. So yeah.
That is a wild story. So like when you said like you couldn't leave, you meant like you could not leave.
Well, yeah, back then I couldn't. And then I came back to New York for a while in like the summer of 2021 when things started opening up in the States, and Canada was still like extreme, Ontario in particular was like extremely locked down. And I was like, gosh, I can like go and have a beer at a bar, which is just completely anathema. Like we just weren't allowed to do that at all.
Did you go to Clando?
No, I didn't. I distinctly remember the first outdoor pint I had in a year was at the Brooklyn Inn, which was perfect, and I was thrilled about it. And then I like did it for like 3 months. I stayed in New York, and then started looking at apartments to live in long term, and started looking at 1-bedroom apartments in New York. And then I was like, oh no, fuck no, I want to go back to Canada. This is fucking insane. Are you kidding me? We went to look around one apartment. I can't remember where it was, because I was looking with my now wife, because we were like, well, you know, you're going to be visiting a lot. You may as well see if you like the place. And everything fucking sucked. Like every apartment we looked at was just like mold everywhere, like no windows, like right over the BQE. We found one that was like, oh, it was still pretty near the BQE. And I was like, we can deal with that. It was like a top floor apartment. I looked at it online. It was gorgeous, like this huge studio place, beautiful kitchen, all open plan, little bedroom, but who cares? You had this whole living room, and this like beautiful tiled, like weird. It was like a black mosaic tile bathroom. And I was like, it's a little bit disco for me, but like it's cool. It's like objectively fucking cool. I was wondering what was wrong with it. It was still $2,000 a month. I was like, I can't afford that, but I'm going to give it a shot. And then we went to look around, and the ceilings were like 5'10". So I spent the whole time just walking around like this, and earnestly said to my girlfriend, well, I sit down a lot, so it might not be an issue. And as soon as I said that, I was like, I think I need to go back to a place where I can have like stairs. This is stupid. Yeah.
Well, how tall are you, and how tall is your wife then girlfriend?
I'm 6'6". My wife, she would have been able to do it. She wouldn't have had clearance. Like sometimes it's nice to like do this. You know, like to hold your hand. There's audio medium, but like it's nice to like hold your hand, to yawn, for example. She wouldn't have been able to do. It was a very weird spot, and yeah, there was just no. It just seemed like that year as well. That year of COVID, I think we can all agree like we came out probably a little bit more grizzled and fucked up after it, and we just like I didn't really have the patience to go back to like having 2 roommates and living in like, I don't know, like somewhere in Bed-Stuy, and just like being like, no, this is great. I'll like bike everywhere because I'm not near a subway stop. I was like, no, this is fine.
That's fair. Although everyone should live at some point in an apartment where you can't stand up. My second apartment in New York City when I was 23, it's advertised as a 4-bedroom, and it was like lofts. And have I told this story before on this? Okay. And the guy, the manager of the building, was like, listen, so these are lofts. We'll have a 4th bedroom built in here by the time you move in, because there were only 3 bedrooms when we actually looked at it. And so move-in day comes, and there's still only 3 bedrooms. And so I drew the short straw and had to sleep in like a blanket fort that I made in the middle of the living room for a while. And then after like 3 weeks, they sent in a contractor who erected a bedroom. The ceilings were like 10 feet tall. And so this guy erected a bedroom like horizontally in the living room so that part of the living room only had 5 feet of clearance and my bedroom only had 5 feet of clearance. And also, I did not have a door and instead used a giant towel of a tiger that I got in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, as my door. It was cool.
It's weird that I'm 32 and I'm still sitting here thinking like pillow fort does sound kind of cool. Like a blanket fort objectively sounds kind of fun and comfy.
Yeah, it was kind of like camping. It was paying $900 a month to camp.
Yeah, less than ideal.
Every time I would go to New York, I would always get an Airbnb, and they would really be a crapshoot for what you would get. But one time, it was just a mattress that a guy had put on top of like a space above his bedroom that was like barely even an attic, and you had to like crawl into it. It was like a little foxhole that he constructed, and it was like cheap, but understandably so. And then the other time, there was like bunk beds involved, but yeah, not fun.
Trey, what's the worst apartment you've ever lived in?
I've got pretty lucky for the most part. I've had some like shitty apartment situations, but never like it might just be the first place we moved in here. It was I moved up to New York because my girlfriend at the time got a job up here and I just finished up my master's program and I was trying to figure out like, well, am I going to stay in DC or am I going to go to New York and try to find a job, maybe Philly, I don't know. And she was like, I got a job in New York. And I was like, okay, decision made. And we moved into a place with her and I'm not going to say anything mean about these people, but 3 of our college friends. And it was just, they were like all these cold wars about who did the dishes and stuff. Like they were constantly calling the fire department for stuff. Like the tube for the vent or whatever on the back of the dryer would come off. We did have English washer dryer, and they would like call the fire department. And then I get angry texts about like, why'd you leave weed out there? And I'm like, why the fuck did you call the fire department? Yeah. And one time like I came home and I was already pissed off because it was after, I remember this vividly. Man U had just beat Liverpool 3-0. And I came home. This was about like 2013, 14. Oh no, 14, 15 actually. I came home and I was like, what's that smell? Like we had a dog in the house at the time. That's a whole nother story. But the dog's running around. I smell something. I just hear the roommates upstairs like, Trey, don't light anything. The gas is on. There's a gas leak. Da, da, da. And I'm like, what are you talking? First of all, why did y'all run upstairs instead of out the house if there's a gas leak? Yes. Second of all, like, I know for a fact this can't be a gas leak because y'all don't know how to do anything. I simply walk over to the stove and check it, and one of the knobs is on. And it's like, man, fuck y'all. And I turn it off, and I start opening windows like, guys, it's fine. Like, you know, we already called the fire department. They're on the way. And I'm like, what the?
I love that your roommates thought that the fire department was the super of your building.
And like there was just all sorts of other stuff. Like they insisted on getting this place, and like mind you, it was a nice place, but the big selling point was there's an apple tree in the backyard. Nobody wanted to clean up the apples, so we always had rats back there and shit.
That's the most New York shit I can imagine.
Like these are people who would leave like pizza boxes like with half a pizza in it next to the recycling, and then be upset that we had mice. And I'm like, yo, stop doing that. Just stop doing it. But like it was on the contractor too, because like for some reason they just did not put insulation in the walls. Yeah, and
okay.
And so like it all fell apart one day when because the pipes were freezing, and it was just like, oh, just leave it running, and then that wasn't working. It was like, okay, well they had this little gadget that we had to connect to the pipe that was in one girl's room, and she just like, I don't want to leave like that thing open because bugs might come out. Well, it's like, well, you know, you picked this room and like that affects the whole house. You kind of have to eat this one. And so one day I just wake up. This was like, must be like 5 a.m. and I wake up to the dog screaming. And so I walk down the stairs, and there's just water gushing out one of the walls. Like, legit just like going like straight horizontal out one of the walls. And I'm like, I must be sleepwalking. Like, I'm just going to go back upstairs and go to sleep because and I did. I just went back upstairs, and then like half an hour later, I hear them screaming. And I'm like,
Half
oh,
an hour
fuck.
later.
I like that you
I'm just standing on the steps looking at them, like trying to use pots and throw it in the sink and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just like, man. And then like almost like it was like the comedic timing and like in hindsight was incredible because then water starts gushing out of another wall opposite of it. And I just like went upstairs and emailed my boss at the time. I was like, I'm not coming into work today, man. Like
I think you
That's
opened
just, like,
this story
in a
by
photo.
saying, like, yeah, I've never lived anywhere that's actually bad. It was more just like the internal politics. It's actually like a rat-infested place with no walls. It's like constantly flooding.
like this was the fucked up thing is like this was all manageable too. It's just a bunch of people who didn't feel like they had to manage anything.
I don't know, bro. That sounds haunted to me.
Good point.
It was haunted by like physical ghosts who all also paid rent there. Yeah. And
I
then
don't
like
understand how water was bursting in like multiple walls. Like, were you living like in a fucking submarine in the East River or something?
like I said, this was also on the contractor as well.
For building the house in underwater?
On top of a dam. On
Well,
top of a dam. Yeah.
for not making sure that like the house was properly insulated and like this kind of shit wouldn't happen. You know?
What was your rent though?
It was 35 for the whole place.
And there was like 5 of you?
Yeah, so it was me and my girlfriend at the time shared a room. And then one of her friends was on the top floor with us. And then it was like the next floor was like living room, kitchen, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They insisted on getting a picnic table for the kitchen too. That kind of bewildered me, but yeah, whatever. And then the other 2 lived downstairs.
Okay.
And yeah, it was just a wild fucking situation, man. Yeah. And then like by this time it's late March. Contractors come and fix everything, and they agreed to give us free rent for the rest of the lease, as long as we all stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a house meeting about it, and it's like, okay, well, it is getting warmer outside. This isn't going to be a problem, and like it would be cool if we could all just like stack up before our next move. And 2 of them were like, oh, we already found a place together.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's like, man, fuck y'all. They're like, Trey, this house isn't built place. I'm like, your brains aren't built the right way, man. Like, why wouldn't? Yeah. Like, stop calling the fucking FDNY for every fucking thing. I was like, oh, the dishwasher doesn't work. Yeah.
And it's not even like, there's like one layer between the building super or the landlord and the fire department, and that's 311. But like, anyways.
So yeah. I'm sorry. Let me drink some water. I'm getting riled up just thinking about this again.
Well, if y'all couldn't tell, this is the sports episode. We are. Wait, is it your birthday, Slava?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Happy birthday, brother!
Happy birthday!
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to.
33, the big Larry Bird.
I wanted to start this episode off all of us singing "Happy Birthday" to Slava.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that. This is not a Moxie's.
All right, we'll say it again.
Alex gets that joke. Because he's a real Canadian boy. I could tell. You guys don't even know what Moxie's is.
Yeah. What?
What's that, like a Apple Jacks? What do you guys have over there? Upscale Applebee's.
Oh,
yeah. Hooters is like.
There's a place called Twin Peaks that isn't everywhere, but it's supposed to be like a little classier Hooters, I think.
No, there was a motorcycle gang battle at a Twin Peaks.
Oh shit! Okay, never mind.
Oh, was that the one in Los Santos?
I think it was in Texas. This was like a
Then,
few years ago.
that's fine, man. They'll have a motorcycle gang battle outside the Palm in Texas, man. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess Twin Peaks, but also Hooters. So is Moxie's just like upscale Hooters, is what you're saying?
What makes it an upscale Hooters?
They're still showing skin,
Okay.
right? It's app heavy. Nobody's really like, sitting down for a 3-course meal there. And the bar is decent, and they got some sports on.
That's just Hooters. Like Hooters' main thing is wings, and wings unaccompanied by a side are an app.
I'm not making.
Okay, this place requires the use of utensils.
Without meaning to make a value judgment here, I would argue against the idea that Hooters' thing is wings. I would say
this is kind of nice.
That wouldn't be like, that might be in the top 3, but it's like probably not the number 1 thing that people associate with Hooters in like the Family Feud round.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This actually looks as hell. Hold on. I googled them.
Where you're looking at Moxie's?
Yeah. Yeah, this is just fancy.
IES.
Right? Okay, so like the waitresses and stuff are doing Hooter things, or
I mean, what's Hooter things? What are Hooter things?
Like the uniforms or whatever, and the
they're flirty. They're asking you how your day was. They're not rubbing your back or nothing like that.
So this is just like any Miami restaurant. I'm looking at this menu real quick. Hold on. Don't worry, we'll save singing happy birthday till the end of the episode.
Yeah.
That'll be the sign off.
Thank you.
So basketball is over. How do we feel about the results?
Man, who's playing?
That is your opinion, Slava?
When do the finals start? Is it this Saturday?
Slava's just mad because a Serbian won the title.
Yes.
Bro, not only did a fucking Serbian win the title, but a Serbian is now the fucking head coach of the Toronto Raptors, bro. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. It's a fucking Serbian boys summer.
Did you see Masai Ujiri's comment on that as well? Like extremely stilted in the press conference, being like, yeah, this is a good time to be a Serbian, I guess, is the main thing. And I wish my name was Masai Ujiriorovic. You know that, like, there's that particular sound of you get it in the Premier League as well. It's a little bit more of a boys' club there, but that particular sound of like a press conference, like politely laughing at a dumb fucking thing that somebody on the stage has said. It was just like absolute, and then you combine that with like polite Canadianness. It was just beautiful. It was to a T. It was like music.
Plus, you have to remember that in Toronto, the same team the same company that owns the team also owns the media publications.
Right.
So, they've got gloves on the whole time, which has been the best part about seeing Nick Nurse get interviewed by Philly reporters.
They were just like, yeah, wasn't it like, yeah, what do you think about, like, do you want James Harden back on the team? He was like, well, he's a great player. It's like, you didn't answer the question, bitch. Yes. Like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, Nick Nurse has been on like a media tour trial by fire. And he keeps saying like, oh yeah, I've been talking to every single player about like what they're going to do next time. And he says he's talked to James Harden. Don't believe it. Also, don't believe that he wants James Harden back.
No, you wouldn't, would you? James Harden's like, it's kind of an incredible situation for Harden. I know we're like already miles away from the finals, but it's kind of incredible to be like, as objectively good as Harden is and can be, and like was devastating in the pick and roll with Embiid, obviously, like the numbers on that I think are just astronomical. Like I don't know too, but like I listened to enough of the Zach Lowe podcast to be like, oh, that sounds like it would really hurt teams if they just ran that all the time. And he's simultaneously like is probably not wanted by his head coach at the Sixers and would probably go to the Rockets and fucking destroy their future. Like everybody should be trying to steer clear of this objectively incredible player. And he's just toxic.
Nah, the Lakers.
It's not that he's toxic as much as like he's like kind of a drunk and like but he still works out a lot, and so he's convinced that like all of the drinking he does doesn't have an effect on his body and physical performance.
Do you know who Phil Kessel is?
No, what's that?
Phil Kessel is the closest analogy in the NHL to James Harden. Just like a phenomenal scorer, generational player, looks like absolute dog shit. Like, fucking Phil Kessel looks like Kiefer Sutherland in a fat suit, like 3 rounds deep. And he was shite in fucking Toronto, but then he went on to win 3 cups, including one just now with Vegas. So that's kind of what Harden has to become. Just a gun for hire.
This guy's just like a Letterkenny character, pretty much.
Yeah, but you got to remember, like,
Pretty much, but he's American.
90% of the NHL is a Letterkenny character. Like it, like
Fair.
none of the like Slava's saying that Phil Kessel is physically unattractive, and that may be true, but he's probably in the top 30% of handsomest NHL dudes.
Did they have to wear like face protection in the NHL?
Yeah, but it's like down to here. It's like a visor that comes down to here.
If I'm a pro hockey player, I'm wearing a football mask.
Dude, I'm wearing a fucking suit of armor. Fuck that.
Well, I feel like a suit of armor would be bad because you would still like get jarred by the pucks. Like you need some sort of padding rather than simply like just like wrapping yourself in a Volvo.
I'd wear a fucking soundproofed suit of armor.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like staple some pizza boxes to the inside of it. I'm good to go.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Mm.
And your old roommates, they have some with pizza still in it, which is extra cushioning.
Yeah. You take a little snack during the game and shit. Yeah. And to end up in the penalty box or whatever. Yeah. Got 2 minutes to put down that last of that crust. There you go.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Slava, you know how to make a hockey rink, right?
Yeah. I thought you were going to ask if I know how to make a suit of body armor with some magazines, and I was going to tell you, yeah, I do. I saw a guy do it in jail.
Okay, well,
but a hockey rink, yeah.
Tell both things now.
Well, I think I just told the first one. But a hockey rink, there was a program to build the hockey rink in jail, but they stopped themselves. Why do you ask?
Oh, I just remember when you were in jail and we would have our like weekly calls. One time you told me, I'm going to learn how to make hockey rinks. And I was like, damn, Slava's at summer camp that he can't leave.
Yeah, so that program was specifically stopped because there was like not enough staffing because so many of them quit due to COVID. And they just didn't have the numbers to like supervise that specific program. But typically they do build hockey rinks and then the inmates will play against each other. But they just did more indoor hockey that year. But it is kind of like adult summer camp. Like on Monday it was volleyball, Tuesday was hockey, Wednesday was basketball, then hockey again, then basketball again, and then badminton between times. And then in the summer there's bocce ball, there's a mini golf course, baseball, diamond, soccer.
How many finals did you guys watch? Because I think I watched I watched some of game 1, then I watched game 2, and then some of game 3, and I was like, oh, I kind of know where this is going.
They actually put up a fight in that last game. Like 3 quarters in, it seemed like the Heat were going to win.
Yeah, but like that's the thing, man. Like Jokic just wanted to go home, man. He just wanted to go back to like riding his horses and shit. Like he was sick of being here. He was like, this should have been a sweep. I'm pissed off. Like, yeah,
ungrateful.
Yes.
He's so ungrateful.
Did you guys watch his
to be in his position?
He's like, yo, I got a W-2 like everybody else, man. Fuck this. I just want to go home. Yeah.
Did you guys watch his like post game press conference?
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
Just being like, I don't like my job. No one likes their job.
Yeah.
Some people like their job. but they are lying. Or instead of they, he always says he.
Like I saw someone tweet like Jokic has like the true immigrant mentality. It's like come to America, work hard, send the money home, and get the fuck out when you can.
Yeah, I love his cart horses. They're majestic beasts.
He really loves that. The Durant tweet about him just wanting to go home and FaceTime his horses. I don't know why Durant deleted that, because of all the things that of all the Kevin Durant tweets, that one was it was perfect. I don't want to be all like fucking, like, oh, who can relate, like, but I did, compared to the kind of like grind set stuff that you normally hear from NBA players. I mean, like, look, everybody's done an about turn on Jimmy Butler, and rightly so. It would have been absolutely magical if that guy could have won a ring. Like, I'm all for it, but it's kind that shit is insufferable. Like, very quickly. Like the kind of just like, yeah, man, I dreamed it harder because of my belief mentality. And it's like, I don't know, this guy just really likes horses and he just wants to go home and like drink some sort of grappa. It's kind of charming. He's like, watching him on the court, it looks like that too. It's not that he doesn't want to be there. It's just he doesn't play basketball like a guy who's trying very hard. He plays basketball
he's just
like
doing this so he can afford his horses,
right. Yeah. And like he's been given this sort of gift that's simultaneously a curse, that he's a foot and a half taller than the average human being, made entirely out of mashed potatoes, and like he's incapable of missing a field goal. And he knows that the only way for him to make enough money to like have lots of beautiful horses is to keep scoring the points. There is a beauty to it, he this is the thing he can do, and he just has to keep doing it.
That's real. Although we did just talk about how the main thing James Harden wants to do is like drink an entire bottle of like Ciroc at a strip club, and he does basketball to afford that. And maybe it's just because Harden's on the Sixers and they lost and I live in Philadelphia, but I'm annoyed with him.
He's also gone. He also just goes missing in big moments in a way that, which is fine. I mean, we should all have the right to suck at our jobs at important times. Like that's fine. He's a fucking super athlete in the top 0.0001% of athletes in the world, and if he like occasionally goes missing in game sevens, well, like, who am I to judge? But to judge him quickly, like, Jokic is likable because I find because he's already having that success. He's had two like back-to-back MVPs. Argument he could have had it again this year. And every time I turned on the TV to what I just caught like chunks of every game, when it didn't look like the fucking Somme out there, and there were just like people grabbing onto ankles and just like random people falling on the floor, and just like it was just absolute carnage. When it wasn't like that, it was just Jokic just kind of barreling towards, like very slowly barreling towards the hoop, and then effortlessly playing it up. He completely transcended. He was the thing that made this feel inevitable. And I know that's often true of superstars, but whenever he had the ball, it was like, oh, he's going to score. There's no way he's not going to score.
The second he fell backwards while tomahawking the ball over his head from the 3-point line and it went in, I was like, this is over. Yeah. This man knows all of the secrets. He has developed new techniques. They will need to reteach all basketball technique now. The like fall backwards tomahawk 3 is like the iPhone of shots. Like, it just, you gotta rip up the playbook.
I think he has you guys fooled. There's a RICO case coming against Jokic. I can feel it.
I mean, you would know. Yeah.
That's exactly. I know the playbook. I've seen it before. You act big and goofy, and no one ever sees it coming.
How people like used to get like proper basketball men used to get mad at Steph Curry because it was like, well, now when you go down to like your local park, you see kids pulling up the 3 and they're not focusing on the fundamentals. I love the idea that there are just kids in like Brampton, Ontario, sitting there with a basketball, like falling backwards and trying to hit a tomahawk 3, just like all of them one by one. Yeah,
Well, the reason that was on my mind was because Emily and I went to the basketball court today to just like shoot around, and I saw like teenagers trying that shot.
No shit.
What?
Yes.
That's great. That's awesome.
So yeah. What's funny is also all of the teenagers will just scream out random basketball players' names when they're trying to do a move. And it's always it's usually Ja Morant or Zion Williamson. But then the other day I listened to a kid scream Al Horford as he was like getting a rebound.
Marcus Camby.
That actually used to be a way to kind of diss somebody in jail, is that you would call out their closest comparison. So I would get like Alex Caruso a lot. So I would go up and do something. Oh, look out, here goes Alex Caruso. Yeah.
I'm just imagining if they had 538, if you guys could have like looked at 538 and you could have shown them the like Raptor rankings they do and be like, no, look, Alex Caruso is technically the 10th best player in the league according to this math.
Well, check it out. Apparently in the Medium Institution, where there's like 3 times the population, there were guys who would keep score during the game of how many rebounds everybody got, how many points, how many minutes they played, and the leagues there would like do trades and stuff. It was apparently intense.
Nice.
Like there was like an on paper fantasy basketball league?
No, like in like actual players.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
so
what
like,
is Canadian prison, dude?
It honestly, man, like it's not great. Like I think I'm just like overselling it. It's bad still. Like you shouldn't do crime, obviously, because like there are consequences and they're really bad.
For anybody who can't see, like Slava's winking furiously right now.
No, I'm not. Don't do that. Come on. It's bad. Don't.
He's got both fingers crossed on each hand. Like,
I'm gonna start singing the Beatles songs so we can't put this out.
I mean, I would assume that, you know, being very publicly humiliated in the media and then being arrested and like being in front of a judge and then going to jail, probably a pretty emotionally intense experience. And also an easy way to sort of like process that is to focus on all of the funny shit and weird shit that happened during that time, of which there clearly was a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Like you really just have to keep looking for the silver lining, no matter how bad the shitstorm really gets.
But then to go through all that and still be called Alex Caruso, that's just like you've been through enough. And then...
Alex Caruso was the nice one, man. They were going back through the history books. They were like finding old white guys that like I forgot even existed. Scott Pollard. Yeah, some old motherfucker called me Scott Pollard because he was like shooting threes a lot. So instead of Trey Young, I would call him, get ready, Trey Old.
Wow.
Oh,
got his ass.
Yeah, I got him, right? No, he got me so much worse. Yeah, he called me Scott Pollard. Google Scott Pollard. It's not like a favorable comparison.
All right. Well, let's talk about.
Looks like John Fetterman.
John Fetterman can't hoop. He wears basketball shorts, but that dude definitely can't hoop.
You think he wears them instead of boxers?
No. He wears them instead of like pants. Like he is on the Senate floor in a Carhartt hoodie and big basketball shorts.
Respect.
Yeah.
Pollard
Remember that
kind of
time they made him wear a suit and he just looked miserable?
Yes,
Yeah. Can't believe they did that to him.
I know.
Scott Pollard kind of looks like a shrinky dink version of Steven Adams.
Oh yeah, but
Ouch.
Steven Adams is like probably the strongest man in basketball. There will be flashes where Steven Adams will show his true strength, and I honestly feel like if any human being were capable of going Super Saiyan, Steven Adams might be the closest one.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have tribal tattoos?
Yeah,
Well, he's part of a tribe.
Part of a tribe.
What?
Have you seen a picture of him with his siblings? He's one of 13, I think.
Oh wow.
And they're all
Isn't he like part native New Zealander or something like that?
Yeah. I think if not entirely, yeah. And apparently just one of the nicest blokes as well. But yeah, I think a lot of his siblings are athletes as well. So like one of his sisters is a shot putter, and they're just all fucking massive. Look up the picture of them with his siblings, with like all of the siblings together. It's remarkable.
Well,
And
now I feel like an
28.
asshole.
Yeah, I think he's like
28 years old too.
Yeah, I think he's like Maori or something like that. Like
Oh wow. Okay.
He's 29 years old.
Wait, really? You're fucking kidding me.
1993.
That's insane.
yeah, his dad's from England and his mom's from Tonga.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I take back the fact that I brought up he had tribal tattoos because obviously I was going for an easy dunk there.
Hey man, look, you learn something every day, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Now
is
you
it
know
the-
how to judge people by the tribal tattoos.
Yeah. Nersey is a podcast that is pro
Learning.
learning, pro
Appropriation.
forgiveness, pro rehabilitation.
That's an appropriation.
All right.
One last thing I want to talk about in regards to the finals
Okay.
is Conor McGregor knocking out the dude
Yeah,
in
what the
the
fuck?
Heat.
Do you think that's
what,
real?
What is this?
Yeah, apparently he had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Do you really think that's real?
Look, man, if anybody's gonna like think he's jokingly like shadow boxing with somebody, whatever, and then just hit him for no reason out of nowhere, it's Conor McGregor.
No, I feel like it's put on by Conor McGregor. This whole stunt is put on by Conor McGregor to get free publicity, and like no one really got hurt. How would you even punch someone in a mascot head hard enough to hurt them? It's
Because
impossible.
you're a professional punching people in the face, sir. Like, yeah.
The main guys.
But it's a
It's not like I went out there and did it and like he did a backflip or it's like he was selling it like when The Rock used to get Stone Cold Stunner and he's like flipping around like a fish. Like, no, I legit think that guy got hurt.
So
I
the
don't know.
advert, the idea was he was trying to get PR for a like a spray, like an anti-pain spray, like an ibuprofen spray or something, right? I think.
and now we're talking about it.
And well, we are, but what was I only know that because I looked it up because what it looks like happens is he beats the shit out of the mascot in Miami, right? So like there are kids there who like revere and adore the mascot. I assume I mean, I certainly did with my sports
Grow
teams
up.
mascots growing up.
I mean, yeah, when I was growing up, G-Man for the Wizards, yeah.
And then he then proceeds to spray the mascot in the face, which if you don't know anything about the context of it, looks like he's sort of macing him. It's really violent. It's like quite upsetting.
It's like a bunch of 6-year-olds in the crowd screaming like,
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
It's time for those kids to realize that it's time to grow up. Mascots aren't real, and ibuprofen spray is the one true god.
Wow.
it's like we live in a world you could be a sheep or a wolf, you know?
Yeah.
What is the Heat's mask? Is it just like a giant anthropomorphic flame or something?
Yeah, I think his name's just like Heaty or some shit like that. Or Hot.
Bernie.
I wish
That's
that
actually
they-
quite clever. That's clever.
Yeah, Bernie.
Yeah.
Well, Bernie got fucking burned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have called him Hot Hot Heat in honor of that band from 2003.
Yeah, who can
What if
tell
his
them
name
this
was
is
just
a
like
place?
1995, based on Michael Mann's magnum opus Heat?
I was listening. I've been listening to a lot of locks lately, and there's an incredibly funny line where Styles P goes, "I'm like Pacino and De Niro. Call me Panero." And
Perfect.
yeah, I mean,
No joke.
yeah. Listen, sometimes you have like two good bars, and you just have to link them with a third bar, and
Mm-hmm.
hope that it isn't like a clunker that like hangs over you. What's going on with why?
So the prosecution's case has basically fallen apart.
Really?
Like 3 days in, they have like absolutely no evidence to link Melly to the scene. To link Melly, they don't have the gun that he allegedly used. Like they can't even say he was even present when the murders happened. Like there's even Melly. Like there's a shot of him in court on camera where he just like kind of when he hears that like the prosecution can't place the gun on him or tell like what gun was used, he's just like even he looks surprised and he like tries to hide it. But like, yeah, man,
I
it's
mean,
we kept this man in prison for years. We didn't, yeah, he didn't get to enjoy all the success of Murder on My Mind, and yeah,
this seems like a genuine issue. Is like the right to a speedy trial is like very rarely honored. It seems, especially often in high profile cases. Like Taxstone was in Rikers Island for 5 fucking years awaiting trial. And that is obviously not good.
There's actually a law in Canada. It's called the Jordan Rule or the Jordan Law. It says that if your trial takes longer than 32 months to process by through no fault of your own, just because of like legal bureaucratic bullshit, your case gets thrown out.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the worst rule in the world.
yeah.
Yeah, but of course, like if you are the one extending it because you're like pleading not guilty and like you want this added and that added, then that doesn't work in your favor. It's like if you want to process it as fast as possible and it's the government that's slowing you down, then you get the benefit from that.
I mean, yeah, that seems fair. That's a good law. We will trade you. America will trade you Rico and a second round 2027 draft pick for the Jordan law.
You have to throw in Tory Lanez.
Oh,
As in, we have to keep him?
Yeah,
No.
you have to absorb that contract.
can
No,
we do
I'm
like
saying we'll
can we
take him
do like
back. We'll
some
take
type
him
of
back.
three-way trade with England and like yeah.
We're going to take back Tory Lanez and we're going to rehabilitate him in the Canadian prison system. And then we're going to wait till he gets out. Then we're going to give him a job with the CBC and give him like a cooking show.
This is a
Stop
good
spreading
segment.
false
for your
narratives.
podcast. I like this. You should do a weekly segment called Who Says No. And you just go and trade these fuckers around. It's great. See if England can absorb the worst guys and just treat them like the Charlotte Hornets or something. It's great.
Yeah,
Dirk had a song, or he had a verse on like a Drake song, and he revealed something about himself. Where
Take me out the map. I'm tryna hit the group chat. Tell them it's on post. Even though you say don't. Tweeted free agent, I was made. I coach you. I'ma never give a pass like Kobe in a 4 or 5 shoot. Save me, maybe let's go. J&B, really I go. Smirk Taker, really my code. All red, Riri at the bowl. On your page, you FNFT. I'm glad that you fuck nigga free. I'm worse than Kevin Gates, I'm me. And you know I'm down to drink pee.
What?
Gates on me. And you know I'm down to drink pee.
Okay. All right. Well,
okay, well, hang on a second.
First off, I want to say that Nersey is not a podcast that does kink shaming. However,
oh no, we're not shaming at all. This is
Alex
about a
is
celebration of kink right now. Like as someone who sat down and speaking of Kevin Gates, sat down and heard some of the wildest shit in my life a few years ago interviewing Kevin Gates. It's nice to see other people coming out and support and be like, nah, man, I like this shit too. Like, have you ever, I'm not going to go in that deep into it, but it's nice to hear rappers say shit that they wouldn't have said like a decade ago out of fear of, being shamed.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Wasn't there, or I feel like there was a time when my YouTube homepage algorithm just kept serving me video after video of you, Trey, talking to Kevin Gates. Like, how many times have you made a YouTube video with that guy?
Once.
Okay, well, they kept giving it a different headline or something.
Yeah, so the full story behind that was it was a Friday during the summer. Kevin Gates was supposed to show up around like noon for the interview, and I was like, okay. So he'll be here at noon, which really means he'll be here around like 12:30, 12:45. So I'll pop an edible by then, do this interview, and by the time I'm out the interview, edible will have kicked in, and I go enjoy my summer Friday. Kevin Gates showed up around 2.
I was about to say, as someone who has arranged interviews in an office with Kevin Gates before, he did not show up on time.
Yeah, we didn't get started till about 2:30, and I'm in the throes of this shit. And if anybody wants to go look up this interview, you can. It's a noisy interview from about 2019. You can probably also just scroll through Instagram for enough of it, but you prefer it when it's raining outside, when it's like real dry heat, or like humidity, like right in the middle?
Oh my God. Can I be explicit in nature?
Say whatever, yeah.
If it's humid, I want to just get that coconut oil, the virgin coconut oil, like the liquid kind, the 100%, and put it in a spray bottle. And I want to go outside in my backyard, and I want to put some latex gloves on, you heard me? And I want a big booty to just bend over outside, and I want to spray that with that bottle while I punch that dick in from the back. I'm sorry, that's just what I like to do. I like to fuck outside.
Yeah, I knew he was quite the interviewee, but I did not expect him to answer some of I didn't even like line up questions for him to say some of this shit, but he started like things involving black gloves and coconut oil and clearings in the woods and talking about how he's like an elephant because his trunk is in the front too. And yeah, I could have been like completely not high and I wouldn't have known how to respond to some of this shit. But yeah.
How high were you? How many milligrams was the edible?
I took about 15 milligrams, so it wasn't crazy, but it was just like,
That's
I wasn't.
For Kevin Gates interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Gates has a thought-stopping effect on people. Like, he says things that short-circuit your mind. Like, I once interviewed him at a mall. He like took me shopping for an interview I did with him, and at one point he just starts talking about how much he loves Twilight, which I was prepared for because he has rapped about like Twilight. He has an entire song about Edward and Bella, War with God, and he's definitely rapped about Nicholas Sparks before. And I was like, oh, you're from Louisiana. Do you also like True Blood? And he was like, no, I was born under a full moon. I'm a werewolf.
I see it.
Yeah. And all you can really do is be like, oh, okay. Tell me more about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we were having this conversation as he was trying on red bottoms.
Sick.
Yeah.
Like the spiky ones?
I don't know. I just remember we were in the Louboutin store talking about werewolves and moons and stuff. And I think he like said that I was born under a full moon like a couple times throughout the day.
Was it you were?
He was saying this.
He was saying that you were born under a full moon.
No, he was saying that he was born under a full moon.
Oh, obviously, yeah. Do you think
Yeah.
he definitely knows his birth chart off by heart?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like a big zodiac guy. I'm kind of like a zodiac guy.
And like the crazy thing about Kevin Gates is like he'll say all this wild stuff and then just pop up with the wisest thing you've ever heard in your life.
Yep.
Yeah, because like after I did the interview, I stuck around. I was like, I just got to hear him talk some more because they were doing the People's Verse with him.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one comment where he like somebody asked him to give advice to like his nephew who's still in the streets and like needs to get out. And Kevin Gates, like he gave this whole thing about his life. He's like, and then I realized if nothing changes, nothing changes. And my high ass is sitting there like, oh shit. I still think about that phrase like to this day. Just if nothing changes, nothing changes.
It was like
When he just when he just told that story about how he rubbed his hands together and charged a woman's car battery, and he was like, "Say nothing of this."
I believe that. I genuinely believe
Oh,
that
yeah.
happened.
I mean, why would he lie about that?
Exactly.
It's a weird thing to lie about. It feels like easily like disproven.
What is this?
And then he also say like, "Yo, I swear on my child."
Yep, that's exactly why I believe him. When Kevin Gates said that he started the car battery with his bare hands.
And he swore on his child about this.
Yeah, he said like he says stuff like that a lot because like I think during my interview with him, he was like, "Yo, may God strike me down right now if I'm lying." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm still talking to you, so yeah."
All right,
This is part of the reason we have Alex on today.
Yeah.
Known Englishman, Fulham fan, knower of all things going on in the world of this sport.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been like so it's I mean the takeover of it's been a weird week for this, right? So how much I mean
Let's start from like the beginning and then get a little more specific towards the end.
I mean, okay. So the thing is with the beginning that if you could go back to the professionalization of the sport in like late 19th century because that's probably
Wait, hang on a second. Are we talking about Messi going to Miami?
Well, there's a lot to talk about before that because
going to Miami though is like that. It's weird that he turns this down. It's weird that he turns Saudi Arabia down, given that he's one of their spokespeople and like a paid spokesperson for the state of Saudi Arabia.
And was going to be making like $5 million a week or some shit, probably.
Yeah, and I mean, literally just took a fine from Paris Saint-Germain for going to on a promotional trip, on a PR trip to Saudi, with like nauseating social posts and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I mean, look, the news part of it seems to be that 2 years on from the takeover of Newcastle being approved, and the Saudi investment fund, public investment fund, taking over that club in the Premier League. Now they're investing like vast sums of money into, depending on how you look at it, either turning it into one of the top five, turning the Saudi league into one of the top 5 leagues in the world, or turning it into the second coming of the doomed Chinese Super League, by just getting a bunch of sort of retirees and a handful of younger guys and throwing just incomprehensible sums of money at them and hoping that will do the job.
Is the Chinese Super League actually really good?
No,
Chinese Super League's kind of failed, to be honest with you.
They tried it like a decade ago. They put billions and billions of dollars into getting kind of washed up guys, like guys at the end of their career who weren't.
They got like Paco and Oscar and
Oscar was kind of. Who was the exception? Was it Oscar? Oscar was like the one exception because he was still young. They got him when he was still young. Yeah. And he was like about to enter his prime. But yeah, it was like Hulk and guys like that.
Drogba. Didn't Eto'o go?
Yeah, that sounds right. He was in Russia for a while. He may have ended up... But it was like... It didn't end up being impressive enough to sort of watch. And now the Saudi investment fund, which they claim outwardly is in no way connected to the government of Saudi Arabia, which is patently kind of absurd, is investing billions of dollars into basically they've bought the top 4 clubs or 4 clubs that they've cherry picked from the Saudi Arabian Pro League, from the top league, and they're sort of treating them, I guess, like a commissioner would for like Major League Soccer in the 90s or something, where they're just being like, right, we're going to take Karim Benzema and we'll put him on Al Ittihad, and then we'll take Riyad Mahrez and put him on like this team, and they're just sort of moving them around like that. The thinking seemingly being that you need 4, like a top 4 kind of sounds right. That's a good, it's a good number, kind of what we have in England, kind of
like somewhat competitive. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it competitive. And so then eventually what you have is like a team full of glittering superstars at the top 4 clubs. And then like some of the other clubs each have like a pretty good player, like a handful of pretty good players from abroad, and then a handful, like a smattering of good Saudi players. And look, the Saudi players are no joke. Like they beat Argentina, they beat the world champions at the World Cup that the world champions won. So like they're not a piss take. But all of that's kind of by the by, because it's the ethical. I suppose it's the ethical consideration. I guess this is kind of where Drew comes in, because it is like the parallel between what's just happened with Live Golf and the PGA Tour and what's happening in what's seemingly about to happen in professional football, soccer, is
Slava. You know about the concept of sport washing?
Sport washing? Is that where you kind of launder your money by buying sports teams that fail on purpose?
you launder your
Well,
reputation.
it's not so much your money as it is your reputation.
Yeah.
Oh, well, isn't that just the way that things have always worked with that? Is that is that just a new word for a thing that's always been around?
Kind of.
It is.
It's like this is on a much different scale than it's ever been done. It's like this isn't just like an American owner going and buying like a team in a foreign country or something. And this is like people with direct government ties going into places. And it's kind of like it's sort of like what Abramovich did at Chelsea, which like kind of started this whole era of this. But he was like, tangentially, not even tangentially, like directly connected to Putin, but it wasn't Putin owning the club. And you have, damn, somebody's fucking up outside my house. It's like these state-owned entities or state-affiliated entities going in and using these teams and investing a bunch of money in them to make them the best teams. Like sometimes legally, a lot of times they're, dodging rules in certain ways. Like Man City, who got bought out about a decade ago, they have 115 counts of like financial improprieties against them right now.
But soccer as a whole is like super corrupt, right?
Oh, absolutely. But like, I can't remember it ever being like this in your face.
It's
where it's like people are just like, nah, boo boo, we're gonna do it, and you can't stop us because we have more money than God.
Yeah, I think that corruption is it's not as, it is insidious, but I think what Trey said is absolutely right. But like Ray Ratto said this recently, that like having an unlimited amount of money and really wanting to get something done is kind of undefeated in the history of all things, not just sports. Like if you have, they said that the investment fund is going to put forward $750 billion towards investing in sports. If you have $750 billion to spend and you want to get something done, you fucking get it done. Like that's always been the case. And that corruption could just as easily apply to basketball and football, which it will soon, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just have a question. Do you think that they'll just turn around and buy the MLS? Like what stops them from doing that? Do you think at some point morals kick in, or like some kind of sense of patriotism kicks in?
Well, look, but I think
part of what's going on right now is Saudi is trying to prepare a bid for the 2030 World Cup.
Yeah.
And so to make Saudi Arabia more attractive and like as a host and stuff, they need like a proper league and stuff. And they need, so that's why there's a few reasons why Ronaldo ended up there back in, what was it, January?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mainly because he also didn't have a club in Europe to go to after that shit he pulled with Piers Morgan. And then he's just also, it's not a good idea for him to come to the US at all.
Right.
But
wait, why is that? What do you mean by these things?
You probably get super sued if you say anything, Trey. You shouldn't.
Yeah. So allegedly, as it was reported in a German newspaper is there are certain claims against Cristiano Ronaldo, which look to be pretty substantial, mainly because he admitted to it in a police report. And there was a payment outside of court. And recently, like, people have been calling for those charges to be brought back up.
Yeah.
And if he touches, that's like part of the reason like the teams he played for haven't really been doing like U.S. preseason tours and shit. And
Yeah. It's the Ronaldo. I mean, they just backed a truckload of money up to him and dumped on him, and he went over there, and they still finished second in the league, which is amazing.
Yeah. Also, like back in December, he went on an interview with Piers Morgan to talk about how shit Manchester United was, like as he was still playing for them.
Right.
Okay.
So no other club in Europe wanted him because it's like, nah, we're not going to put up with that shit. MLS could have been a big money move, but nah. So like he pretty much only had Saudi Arabia to go to.
Yeah. I mean, here's what I think it comes down to. There is this, the sports washing element is very real. They are trying to launder their reputation. The Saudi government is also, I think, trying to like invest in something that isn't just like gas, like trying to like diversify its portfolio essentially. And this is a pretty good way of doing it. Like if you're going to pump billions of dollars into anything like soccer, golf, anything like that, the growth could be exponential. I mean, golf's a little bit of a trickier one. And you get fucking rubes who are going to defend you. So if you bring up Jamal Khashoggi, for example, in criticism of the Saudi government and the investment fund, people will just, fans of Newcastle United, who are now owned by effectively the Saudi government, will say will fight back because they think you're attacking their club and their traditions and their father who took them to games. And so you buy more and more people in the same way that in golf you've now got you've got a direct line to a particular demographic, mostly aging white guys, mostly typically more right leaning, who are going to tune in and watch the Masters and shit like that, or watch like your average NBA event.
Well, it's funny about the kind of thing you were saying about people defending the Saudi government because about the Khashoggi thing because they it's like their club or whatever. That completely did not work with Live Golf. When they were first getting started up, they had this guy named Greg Norman, who is an Australian retired golfer. He was like what Tiger Woods was to the 90s and early 2000s. He was to golf in the 80s. He was the first superstar golfer who would fly around on a jet and own a boat. And so the Saudis and everybody in pro golf thinks he's an asshole. But he's really famous and he's a name. And so the Saudis, the public investment fund, recruits him to be the commissioner of Live Golf. And the first interview he does, probably not literally the first, but one of the first interviews he does, someone's like, so why would you work with, a nation that kills journalists? And he doesn't miss a fucking beat. He just goes, well, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And then just keeps it moving.
And this is what happens with Bryson DeChambeau the other day on I think CNN, where they're quizzing him about it. And I can say without putting the word allegedly in front of it that Bryson DeChambeau is a fucking idiot. He's just a fucking idiot, and that's okay.
Yes.
He's not paid to be anything other than a fucking idiot. He's paid to be a guy who out muscles golf courses by just having big biceps. He's a dumb guy, and that more than other dumb guys is typically used for evil. But saying nobody's perfect about Mohammed bin Salman is genuinely objectively funny. It's really genuine, and not even the funniest thing he said in that interview where he was like,
Jeffrey Dahmer, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Just hey, we all make mistakes. But then also saying, when he was asked about 9/11, because obviously the Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, he courted the 9/11 families last year and saying well, you've never had to apologize for being part of the PGA Tour, and now look at these families. And then of course when the sums get high enough, he goes like, oh yeah, we'll settle, fuck those guys. And Bryson DeChambeau basically gets on CNN and he's like, look guys, 9/11 was a long time ago.
Yes.
Oh, we.
Yeah, for real. And it's like
He says like we have to move on.
Like guys, and he doesn't even say like, hey, as far to the best of my knowledge, the Saudi government had no involvement in the 9/11 attacks. He's just like, yeah, man,
Get
look,
over it.
we'll do shit. Like, and it was a long time ago. So let's all just grow up and put our big boy hats on and like let's just forget about 9/11. And that
I love that.
fine, right?
I love that Bryson DeChambeau literally used the "why you got to bring up old shit" defense to talk about 9/11.
Right.
That's bold. That's
It really is.
we.
But it's bold in a it's bold in a way that makes total sense when you've just spent the last year and a half in his case taking shit for Live Golf, and then it turns out that everybody who claimed they had any ethics or morals about it, and not your Rory McIlroys or your Tiger Woodses who maybe did, and like maybe like we don't know, probably did have like deep ethical concerns about this. I'm sure they had their own agendas too, deep ethical concerns. But like the people who mattered, the people who were signing the papers, they were fucking lying the whole time. It didn't matter. You've just seen morals just like completely fall apart. That nobody around you has any, and you can go on TV and be like, forget about 9/11, man. It doesn't really matter. And there's not going to be pushback on that because you're just surrounded by completely amoral crooks. And this is, or immoral even. And this is where it like, the Live Golf thing is instructive, not just in the way that, yeah, you're going to end up with maybe fucking Riyad Mahrez or N'Golo Kante or whoever, whichever soccer player they try and bring into, or however many dozens they bring into the Saudi League and pay up, and however many players will have to toe the party line when the World Cup inevitably gets given to Saudi Arabia for 2030. And everybody says like, hey, I don't really know about this, I'm not a politician, and stuff like that, while they, they take away people's pride flags like they did in Qatar and stuff like that. What for all of that stuff, there's the real threat that they will take, the same thing will happen in football as happened in golf. And people aren't talking about that enough because I think that people assume, even the people within football assume that they're immortal, and they assume that they're the ones in control. From the invention of the Premier League in 1992 onwards, the people at the top of this have always assumed that they're in control. And so in England, they assume it's an English game, and in Spain, they assume it's a Spanish game, even as they farm out certain games to Saudi Arabia. What they haven't realized is that in the same way as the PGA Tour, the governance of football, of modern football, is so corrupt. Is one way of, yes, it is deeply, like FIFA is a deeply corrupt organization, allegedly. But for all of that, they don't realize. Okay, so with the Champions League final, fans are complaining of being treated like cattle, right? Liverpool fans the year before talk about like fearing that another Hillsborough disaster might happen, that people might die in a crush because the French police are treating them again like cattle, forcing them into tiny spaces. The death of the European Super League now means that more money is going to be funneled to the biggest clubs. Smaller clubs are getting inched out, pushed out. Yes, Manchester City are ignoring financial fair play regulations, but so are fucking Everton. Like every club's ignoring it. The fans are being treated like shit. Not just physically, but like more and more money. It costs £1,000 to get a season ticket at Fulham. You know how shit we are? I've got a shirt in that drawer that says we were third division runners up, and they embroidered that into a jersey because they were proud of it. Like, we're charging for a fucking season ticket. Fans are being treated like shit. Players.
Wait, Alex, not to interrupt, but how much did a Fulham season ticket cost when you were growing up?
I mean, I don't know how much the season ticket cost because I let my mum buy it for me when I was a kid. But I remember getting into games for £1 on a weeknight. Like you go to a Fulham game for £1 in the seats with where my family sat. It would have been a couple of £100 probably, which is still, in Germany they wouldn't allow it to be anything more than that. So as you do more, and then the players are also being screwed increasingly just to meet the demands, to meet financial demands and TV demands. Players are having to play more and more games in a shorter amount of time. I was listening to something today. Kylian Mbappe has played 40% more games than Thierry Henry had played at the same age. Jude Bellingham has played about 35% more than Wayne Rooney had played at the same age. Like players are just being forced, and it's resulting in injuries, especially in the women's game, but in the men's game too. Players are burning out. Their careers are ending sooner. They're getting pissed off. The managers are pissed off with it. Eventually, somebody with a shitload of money, an oil-rich nation state, will come in and just provide an alternative. They'll do exactly what people did with the PGA Tour. They'll say, look, you don't like the PGA Tour because they don't give you enough of a cut of their money. It's not fun. The crowds aren't really raucous in the way they could be. You don't earn enough, so we can give you more money and we'll give you more
Well, the
break.
biggest thing is they weren't allowed to wear shorts.
Right. Let people wear shorts, you know? So until they start listening to that stuff, they are, in the same way that, without meaning to blow this conversation too far open, but like in the same way that the Democratic Party or democratic institutions in America are open to this kind of stuff. Like if you piss people off for long enough and you treat them like shit for long enough and you get arrogant and hubristic for long enough, somebody will come in with a populist angle and they will just say, yeah, man, look, we're going to start. European Super League was just botched because they were stupid about it. But if you're the Saudi Arabian investment fund with $750 billion to spend, you take a chunk of that and you say, cool, look, the big teams just play each other all the time. That's what fans want. And we'll give you like a guaranteed week off between games. We'll pay the players more. And hell, maybe even the fans can get in for less money because God knows we're bankrolling it enough. And then all of a sudden, you know what, maybe you don't try and do what they did before. Maybe you don't take Arsenal and Liverpool and Spurs and Barcelona and Real Madrid. Maybe you don't do that. Maybe you take 40 clubs, 50 clubs from around Europe and you just start it that way, in the same way that you don't necessarily get Tiger Woods or Rory McIlroy, but you get Bryson DeChambeau and you get Brooks Koepka and you build. And then the next thing you know, you merge. And you have that merger, which is obviously a takeover.
Yes, that is the funniest thing, is that the PGA Tour is spinning this as a win, because they get more board seats initially, but the Public Investment Fund gets their head guy is going to be the head of the board, and they have an option to invest like more and more and more, and the more they invest, the more board seats they get. And so, you know, soon enough, even Rory McIlroy, the number one 9/11 acknowledger in the world, is gonna be saying like, why you got to bring up old shit?
Because and he's got to get his paycheck signed, right? And there's not really an option. There's not like a rival breakaway league now he can even go to. He can't go to one that's owned by somebody else. So that...
And he can't play in Europe or Asia or, you know, South America or Canada because he is just too good.
Right.
And so he's like stuck. And if you watch this press conference he did prior to the RBC Open, he just looked like you couldn't see anything below his like torso. And it looked like his chair was made out of like needles. And he was just like, well, I feel super hypocritical. I guess this is good because like the lawsuits that PGA Tour and Live have against each other will be dropped. And that's like a big fucking headache. So, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's the thing.
So who's the biggest winner and the biggest loser in all this?
Saudi Arabia is the biggest winners, and everybody else is kind of the biggest losers.
Yes. And like,
I mean, Saudi Arabia and the teams they're buying and leagues they're buying are the biggest winners.
I would say the biggest winner is Bryson DeChambeau. Actually, no, the biggest winner is Brooks Koepka, because he signed with Live Golf when he was like hurt or like rehabbing from an injury or something, and he was playing like shit. And he sort of used a year of Live Golf to convalesce and get better. And now he's just kicking ass. And yeah, I mean, I think that you're right, Alex. Like, you know, I think the big Live Golf proposition was basically like saying like, listen, the only tournaments that people actually watch are the majors, and you guys on the PGA Tour will still be allowed to play in the majors. So, you know, why don't you accept a guaranteed $200 million to wear shorts while listening to Avicii?
Yeah, and
on
join
the
a team
course.
called the Snakes or something.
Yes.
And like wear team branding. Ideas which they've all completely scrapped now because they realize like nobody wants to listen to Avicii on the golf course, and it's dumb, and they've just scrapped the team concept and all that kind of shit. But yeah, I mean, the sad thing is that this is the powerlessness that fans feel, and obviously, golf isn't as fan oriented as football. The heritage is there with the sport, of course, for players, but for individuals like relating to a team, perhaps being brought up there or even growing up miles away and still like caring about a team and investing in it like emotionally. The sad thing is the inevitability of this and the fact that this is all going to be that pieces of this are going to be sold off, and eventually it's all going to just be everything is going to become live golf. And the only way to avoid that may have already gone. We may have already gone past the point where we could have. But if I could be a football fan in any country, I'd be a football fan in Germany, because when ticket prices go above 22 euros, they take to the streets like the French do when they're told that their pensions are drying up. Like, they refuse to travel to games. They write very clever and nasty things about the owners of clubs who they accuse of being like grifters and like corrupt individuals because they're charging like $25 for away tickets, and they don't include public transport in the price of the ticket. Like, the Germans will absolutely riot if they have if the foundation of their football community is threatened in even the smallest way. And that's why Bayern Munich weren't interested in the Super League a couple of years ago. They just went like, no, we don't need this. We're good. We're happy here. They don't attract the world's greatest players. They don't attract, like, Erling Haaland was there for a couple of years and then he goes to Man City. Does it matter to a fucking Dortmund fan that one of the world's greatest strikers isn't playing there? No, because they still get to go to the club every week. They still get to watch it. They can afford it. You can take your kids. They won't have this shit sold out from under them. And if they do, like, people's lives will be threatened because they won't just let the league be sold off. And in England and Spain, places like that, the English did for once, like English football fans did rise up 2 years ago against the Super League.
Man, I can't believe I had to say like good job to Man U fans, man.
Right. But like, but Liverpool fans, I mean, I had to do it with Chelsea fans, but it's so miserable to realize that they were only going to do it at once. And that the moment that tiny little bit of like fans taking to the streets to protest against what they thought was like anti-competitive spirit and the selling out of the game from underneath them completely fucking evaporates when Manchester United are like, sure, but with Sheikh Jassim in charge of us, we could finally do what we want and spend money, as if you haven't spent £500 million over the last 5 years on just complete fucking dross anyway. Like, we all need to be okay with being a bit shit, basically. And if football fans could just get off Twitter for 10 minutes and just deal with that, then this threat of the game being sold out from under them or being bought out from under them in a hostile takeover would, I think, if not evaporate, at least not seem completely immortal.
Okay, I have an idea.
Alex, who did 9/11?
Well, look, I think the point is that it was a long time ago. And and who's to say? I mean, they're just trying to be a better ally.
That's true. Yeah, this is actually really a labor issue, and they are being allies to workers.
Yeah,
loosening dress codes, guaranteeing paychecks. They're really trying to get golfers health insurance.
That's the main thing.
Move them off W-9, get them W-2'd.
Yep. Yeah.
Fucking guaranteed 3% pay raise every year. Or...
Yeah.
Yep. Got to keep up with inflation, man.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
And pro golfers, they're like Uber drivers, man. They're gig workers right now, and PGA won't even play in California because of the laws. So
some of these
that's
guys,
not true.
Some of these guys,
that's one of my fellow freelancers.
Some of these guys don't know where their next 300 grand is coming from, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah, and these sponsor paychecks, they're drying up. They're getting replaced with unlimited free equipment, and a new PXG driver only goes for like $1,100 on eBay, and if you've only got 100 of them, You know, that's a lot of, you're losing a cut of that because, you know, you're paying for shipping.
Exactly. You do the math. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Workers unite, baby.
Yep.
Have you ever seen a show called Holy Moly?
No.
No, what's that?
It's a Steph Curry
Oh,
produced
yes.
show.
I've seen adverts for
where-
this.
Yeah, it's competitive mini putt, like incredibly competitive.
Oh
Incredibly
no, they got
steps.
they got Rob Riggle doing
That's
commentary.
right.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So
Are
here's
the
my
Muppets
pitch.
on that thing?
Probably.
Probably. But here's my
No,
pitch.
they were
Okay?
special guests, I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Saudi Arabia gets to buy whatever they want. And they're already treating it like FIFA, all right? You're saying they're owning all these teams and they're moving players around like nothing. Okay. Why don't we just ramp that up another level and we introduce every other thing that's in FIFA? You know, like the game where you can like kick it into a target into like bullseyes in the net.
Or
We
Soccer
introduced-
AM.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the thing,
yeah,
the thing is, we have
introduced
this.
that.
It's Major League Soccer. MLS already has this stuff. People are too busy sneering at MLS, but like MLS has
MLS All-Star Weekend is the shit,
it
dude.
rocks. Also, like goalie wars, that needs to be a regular fixture. That was fucking.
Need to
awesome.
bring back like the Stampede penalty kicks.
Yeah, if they started introducing that, I would start defending the Saudi regime. Absolutely.
Speaking of sports washing in Manchester City and all, they won the Champions League final this past weekend. And you guys ever heard of Jack Grealish?
No, who is this?
Oh, buddy.
An American comparison or North American comparison for Jack Grealish. I don't think there is one. There's not.
J.R. Smith, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Go on.
But like it's like he goes even harder than JR does. Like
There's something so deeply English about him.
Yeah, it's just like every stereotype of like an English person abroad, he just embodies like even times about 10. He's just like the most like bro dude who plays in the league, like especially now in the English league where like everybody's a true professional and they treat their body right and they, you know, they stay in the house and that. Jack is just like a party boy to no end. Like,
is he just sort of like the British guy in the season 2 of White Lotus?
I didn't watch season 2 of White Lotus. I couldn't tell you.
That's the vibe I'm getting from scrolling Google for sure.
But after winning the Champions League final, he went on a 3 or 4 day bender. That let me give you guys the highlights real quick. So after the game, you know, he was you know very, very happy. This was his second season at City. His first season, he felt like he didn't contribute too much, but yeah, so he pretty much like led a bunch of the celebrations in the locker room. There's a very funny video from his Instagram story where like the kit man or whatever, the guy who's in charge of the jerseys, like slides across the floor into the wall. And you can hear Jack saying like, "Watch my fucking Gucci bag, man." And they left the stadium. Yeah, they left the stadium 3 hours later, and he's blasting Fleetwood Mac's. What Fleetwood Mac song was it?
Everywhere?
Everywhere, yeah. It was Everywhere from a Bluetooth speaker, just like smashing a Heineken on the way to the bus. They get back to the hotel where there's a party. He's still drinking. He gets on the stage and starts rapping.
What?
Yeah. He wakes up the next day.
What did he rap before you go on?
He wakes up the next day still in his uniform. And then was then seen with his head poking out of a window on the roof of the team bus, which we might have to use that photo for the thumbnail for this episode because it's incredible.
Okay.
They're on their way back to Manchester. He gets on the intercom of the plane, still drinking the entire time. He has not been to sleep, it looks like. And he just starts like doing chants over the intercom on the plane. Fans who saw him getting off the plane back in Manchester, one of them tweeted, "Grealish doesn't have a clue what planet he's on." And yeah, so then like later on, that day, like this is like a day before the trophy parade where they were going to send the team bus with like all the stuff they won through the city, and fans get to like line up and see it. He and a bunch of other teammates go to Ibiza on a private jet, get back in time for the trophy parade, and he is still going at it. Like I saw a video today of like him seeing a pretty girl in the crowd at the trophy parade, and he points at her. He's like, "Oh yeah, you right there," and so like he's just like going in, and yeah, it's like we don't get players like this anymore.
He is.
We don't get at the top level, at least.
He is the last of a dying breed, I guess. And he also seems to be like a really lovely bloke. There's videos of him with England, but like one of the thing he was most famous for before, apart from being like excellent at football, was, have you seen the video of him at England training camp where they're doing like a piece of practice content, and they pull out that they're asking all the England players to identify where on a map of England they were born, and they put it to him and he goes, "Oh fucking hell, is that England?" Like he didn't just not know where he grew up. He didn't know what a map of England looked like. He's just like, he's a beautiful doofus. He's a lovely, lovely doofus boy with like lovely doofus boy hair as well. He's got curtains. He looks like he's
like a fucking platonic ideal of a himbo.
Yeah.
Handsome dude, just like a human golden retriever. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Like one reporter asked him like, yeah, your manager says you have an encyclopedic knowledge of football. And he goes, "Oh, what?" And she goes, "Encyclopedic knowledge?" He's like, "I don't know what that means."
Bear it in mind.
So this guy is the Derek Zoolander.
Yeah, pretty much. Just like an excellent left winger who also you can name all the books he's ever read on like your thumb.
Yeah.
So,
but I love him so much, even though he plays for a team I hate. Like he's been like in a team full of like dudes who are robots and just have like all this like just kind of stuff behind him, like this dark cloud above him. He's been like the one sense of joy. Seeing him do well has been like the one sense of joy in watching them do this,
But not a joyful team. Yeah. It's true.
You got like Erling Haaland, who looks like he was built in a lab.
Yeah.
Just like this large Danish boy who cannot stop scoring goals. You got Rodri, who I fucking hate with all my life. You got Bernardo Silva, who I hate even more.
But again, at the parade, he goes like, "There's one boy," like Grealish goes like, "There's one boy on his team I fucking love," and he looks homeless, and then brings Bernardo Silva up with him in front of 100,000 people. He's just completely. It's beautiful, and the tabloids have been following it. That's another reason it's such a great throwback, is because the tabloids have been sort of voraciously following him with this. And he just wasn't turning around and going like that. Just like, yeah, fucking, it's great. Like, I'm kissing my girlfriend. I'm having a great time. It's beautiful. I wish him nothing.
There's one photo of him like on the street in like a fucking traffic cop's like vest, and it's like, first of all, how the fuck did he get this?
Yeah,
he's just like pouring champagne down his throat and stuff, and like, yeah, he's just a lovely dude.
He really is.
So when he's on stage rapping, what would be the correct song for him to have been rapping? As in, what is the song of the summer? And both, what is the song of the summer, and what would be the funniest song for him to have been rapping of the summer?
I feel like he had to be rapping like a Bad Boy Chiller Crew song.
I love Bad Boy Chiller Crew.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Bad Boy, the funniest song for him to be rapping would have been like a Megan Thee Stallion song that you're surprised he knows all the words to.
He might.
Yeah, this is happening in the UK, so definitely like some kind of UK rapper like Drake, I guess.
Hey, nice.
That little he put out a new song. It's terrible though. That Who Told You with that J Hus song. Drake is on it now, and it's not good, but it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, it'll be everywhere.
God.
I hope you learn to do the well. You guys should like your homework is to find the greatest football song of all time, which is "World in Motion" by New Order. It was for
Okay.
I can't remember which World Cup. In the '86 World Cup, and it's a genuinely good football. I mean, it's a fucking New Order song, right? Like it's a cut above your average football song. But to Trey's interests, that John Barnes does on the remix does the rap.
Oh, I'm aware.
And
I'm well aware.
Early rap as well. It's very much like from the era of like when you were walking down the street just the other day and you saw a real fan away, but like football version. It's like it's perfect. I'm not going to try and recreate it, but it's absolutely worth looking up. John Barnes, he bodies it. I think.
My name's John Barnes. I'm a footballer.
It's kind of It's like, but it's also like describing.
I see your girl. You bet I'm gonna holler, like stuff like that. Yeah,
I can't remember the exactly, but it's just like you've got to know when to run and to pass and to kick. It's very much like describing how to play the game to a child.
It's like
So this is like Curtis Blow.
Yeah.
Basketball.
It's that kind of like whole.
You remember when like you ever heard that Blazers song? Like just when the NBA used to make this like the entire team rap on a track, like back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Seven Nation Army count as a football song? Because if so, that's the best football song.
Yeah.
That's an American football song, definitely.
So a soccer song?
No. I was saying it's a song by the band American Football.
Nice.
Yeah, I realize I don't know who put the Song of the Summer thing in there, but
Oh, that was me.
Okay.
I was thinking about like, oh, what would I pick for the Song of the Summer this summer? But like it's more than just a song that you think would be good for the summer and embodies the spirit of the summer. Like it has to be widespread and like you can't go anywhere without hearing it. And I don't think we've had that song like really since like COVID started.
Yeah.
Like are we in a post Song of the Summer society?
All right. First of all, no, there's Sprinter. Have you heard Sprinter?
No. Is there some
Alex,
Canadian?
have you?
I haven't.
That's a shame because it's by two UK artists, Dave and Central C. There's Put It on the Floor Again with Cardi B. There's that Who Told You song. There's Taliban, and then there's Burna Boy, Sitting on Top of the World. Those are, and then Princess Diana, if you want to count that. Ice Spice and Nicki.
Yeah, like I would say like if I had to pick one, it would be like one of those it's like that Lotto song or that Glorilla song that like Cardi has a fucking feature on.
Yeah. The Glorilla one is that's from like the winter-ish. And then the Lotto one just came out.
I mean, they were trying to call Gyalis Song of the Summer like a summer or two ago, and that shit came out in like March. So
True, yeah, that's true. You are allowed to do that.
I mean, my perception of Song of the Summer is sort of warped because like all of the teenagers in Philly seem to only listen to like local Philly rappers, which is like really cool. But like it now makes me be like, oh, well, it's obviously like a OT7 Kwani song. Everyone listens to OT7 Kwani.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Who?
OT7 Kwani? I gotta make sure that's his name. I don't remember any name of anything anymore because I'm old. Yeah, OT7 Kwani. He's like he and Leaf Ward are the two big rappers coming up right now in Philly. And then there's this other guy named Lil Bucks with like 2 or 3 S's, who is sort of, he's like a younger, he's like still a teenager and is like very infamous in the scene because he's always making songs that like comment on murders that have occurred in the city. So like, but he's like very talented. So it's like a really complicated thing. But yeah, OT7 Kwani, he raps kind of like Cookie Monster. He's really cool.
Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Listening to you list all those rapper names one after the other was how I felt this past week. Just looking at my timeline with this baby Gronk bullshit.
Oh God, baby, man, I
Like he
still
did
don't
what to
understand.
who? What the fuck? What are you talking about?
He got fucking rizzed up by Livy, dude. Don't act like you don't fucking know when you know that you do.
Yeah, and
OT
Slava now
seven Quani was
he's
there.
obvious
Yeah.
he's the Riz King. Like how what are you missing?
Yeah,
He got like Livy rizzed him up and now he's the Riz King. Baby Gronk.
Yeah,
Like,
but the Drip King is Livy's ex-boyfriend, and like we haven't even thought about his feelings.
right.
this is what it sounds like when like I go out on a date and I can only imagine like the person I'm sitting across from is just like, oh, okay, he's had a stroke before. Okay, yeah.
This is the type of stuff you get when there's a writer's strike.
Yeah, I went out on Friday night and spent like a good 3 hours with friends trying to decipher the sentence, decipher that headline, like the Livy rizzed up baby Gronk, and now he's the Drip King, the Riz King. Like, and we still couldn't figure it out. And I've never felt older, and I've never felt more okay with that. Like, I'm fine with it.
Yo, it's not our world anymore, man.
It's
We're in
not.
different eras of our
And I
lives.
don't want it. I don't want that world. I don't want like somebody else needs to have that world and to shepherd it and to care for it and
Yeah.
love it in a way that I never can.
Dude, I'm in my 30s. I've learned enough already, man. I'm just trying to get through the day at
I
this
just want to
point.
listen to Steely Dan and just drop out. It's fine.
Mm.
I was watching that video on a loop though, because like the deadness of the guy who makes its eyes is so captivating. Like he looks like he is the reanimated corpse of a like small liberal arts school lacrosse backup rather
that's the
than
bit,
a
right?
living man.
Like it is a bit. Like he's very good at this.
Yes.
Like I think what drew people, because I first time I watched it, I was like, is this sincere? And then after a couple of times, I'm like, no, it's too haunting, and it's a good.
Oh man. So speaking of golf and baby Gronk, I was just Googling and headline Paige Spiranek, that's her name?
Oh no.
Yeah, calls out baby Gronk's dad for sliding into her DMs.
It just keeps going. There's just always new people we're talking about.
Hang on a second. I'm looking at my timeline. It says Zion Williamson Snapchat exposed baby Gronk texting Zion Williamson. Wow, can you believe this?
It's going to be a real shame when the Saudi investment fund performs a hostile takeover of baby Gronk.
When the Saudi investment fund starts a like third or fourth professional American football league here,
Yeah.
just so that baby Gronk can sign to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
This feels like, what was his name? Terrio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This feels like looking at a white Terrio a little bit, man. This is going to get real dark real quick.
But didn't Terrio end up going to the NFL?
Yeah, but I don't think he needed that like 2-3 years of trauma.
He
Wait,
got to
did
go on.
Terrio go to the NFL?
Yeah.
I know he like got big and like lost a lot of weight. No, he got like swole. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh no, he just like no. Sorry. We might have to cut this.
No.
Oh,
Here in
college.
Nersey, we love
Sorry.
spreading misinformation. So
He's a college football player, and he signed a deal, and it wasn't Terrio. It was the guy that they thought was Terrio in the Popeyes line who gave the look, the sideways glance.
oh yeah, okay.
Do you remember when people thought that everyone was Terrio? They were just pointing cameras at people going, ooh, kill him. do it. Ooh, kill him. So anyway,
Like, my name is Greg. Leave me alone. Yeah.
yeah, that's so this kid who that happened to, his name is Mr. Collin. He became a meme because this happened to Popeyes, and now he signed NIL deal with Popeyes.
Wow.
So good for him.
The NIL is such a weird fucking thing. Like it just
Oh yeah, did you see
it
the story
only
that came out?
rewards influencers and like meme players.
Well, it's funny. Angel Reese said that she makes more money staying at LSU than she would by going to the WNBA.
Somebody
Yeah.
call the Saudis. We got a pro sports labor issue.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. What if Liv paid all of these college athletes to do influencer marketing and talk about how good Saudi Arabia is?
We're gonna have to cut this. This is too good an idea.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
the true Riz King. Yeah.
How do we know it hasn't already started? How do we know that this isn't part of their operation?
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna happen eventually. I guess we just gotta wait and see.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah, as most things, Nersey is for sale. And if anybody's listening to this in any cold climate areas, just know, мы будем говорить, что ты хочешь на распродажу, и просто позвони мне, я все это сделаю.
I don't know if we're gonna have to cut that part or not.
No,
'cause
it's
I'm
all
gonna-
good, bro. It's all good. We can leave that in.
I'm glad that you fuck nigga free. I'm worse than Kevin Gates, I'm me. And you know I'm down to drink pee. And you know I'm down to drink pee. And you know I'm down to drink pee. And you know I'm down to